Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senator Alex Padilla, Commissioner on the NSCEB, who will deliver an address.
Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for your involvement and participation in this historic moment, in my opinion. I know most of you heard from my colleague and friend, Senator Todd Young, earlier today, who is the chair of the commission and obviously a great representative for the state of Indiana. We serve together in the Senate. I have the honor of representing the state of California. And I'll talk about California's unique role in all this here in a minute, but I just can't underestimate how significant this day is. So this summit on AI and biotechnology brings us back together, the members of the National Security Commission on Emerging Biotechnology. I just want to thank my colleagues on the commission who have literally put years into the crafting of recommendations and legislative proposals. Vice Chair of the Commission, Dr. Michelle Rozo, of course, the other commissioners and the staff that has done the day-to-day work to help get us to this point. It is a watershed moment in so many ways. I mentioned them here as a commissioner, as a member of the Senate, and as a proud Californian because California is the birthplace of biotech. And whether it was the founding of Genentech in San Francisco in the 1970s, to the booming industry or industries that have been enabled through the tremendous expertise coming out of Stanford University, UC Berkeley, UCSF, and others. We come to a point where today more patents for bioscience and biotech are issued to California than any other state. And our life science companies continue to raise more venture capital investment than any other state. So I point that out with pride that California plays a huge role in this conversation. It'd also be remiss if I didn't share that while my personal background isn't in biotech specifically, I'm proud to be one of the few engineers serving in the United States Senate. My mechanical engineering degree is from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. If there's any MIT grads here, I'm course 2. And so that's just dangerous enough to understand and ask questions and raise alarm bells. I'll also jump to a question that most people usually have when they hear about an engineering background in the Senate, like how do you go from engineering to politics? And in my mind, it's actually pretty common sense. Engineers are trained to solve problems. Isn't that what politicians are supposed to be doing? That's what they claim to do. But when it comes to issues of biotechnology and innovation, boy, that's quite the problem to solve because we know there's a lot of upside potential in biotechnology when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to medicine, when it comes to biofuels, and more. But we also know there's some challenges that we are facing. It means that global technology competition that we now find ourselves in with not just folks around the globe, many allies, maybe some adversaries, particularly China. From quantum computing and AI to biotechnology, the stakes are high if we don't get ahead and stay ahead. And so that's why I underscore this as a true inflection point in biotechnology development, because the advances that are being made, the progress that is being made is being done at a speed that was once thought impossible. And yet we know that we are at high risk of falling behind. And people think, we're the United States of America. How can that be? Some statistics that many of you probably already know. Over the last 2 decades, China has invested in their development, and their investments are skyrocketing. In 2015, not that long ago, 2015, 10 years ago, China's biopharma R&D investment sat at about $35 million. Today, it's $15 billion, billion with a B. China now controls 80% of global pharmaceuticals. So that's why we say that we need a molecular moonshot to get ahead and stay ahead, because it's not just our health and our agriculture that's on the line, it's our biosecurity as well. Now, of course, that investment means in things like what a lot of Americans take for granted. The fruits and vegetables we buy at our grocery store, ensuring that it is safe to eat. The supply chains that deliver the products that we find at our grocery store, because food security is national security too. That's why Senator Young and I didn't wait for the end of the commission's work and the recommendations to propose last year in a bipartisan fashion, one, the creation of a senior advisor for national security within the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And secondly, the establishment of a USDA Office of Biotechnology Policy. We also need to know that we can't afford to find ourselves in an increasingly vulnerable position with China when it comes to our nation's pharmaceuticals. Because imagine a scenario, imagine a time where China would choose to retaliate against the United States for, hypothetically, a president who starts a trade and tariff war without the approval of Congress. Just imagine that possibility. The tools that China has to fight back. And of course, the shadow hanging over any discussion of national security and biotechnology is also the threat of biological warfare and bioterrorism. While we hope we never see it, the warfare of the future won't just be fought with AI and drones. It'll be fought with bioweapons as well. And so you take all this together, and you have to recognize that we have a responsibility to prepare and prevent that. Now, I know in the next few minutes you'll have the opportunity to hear a discussion of the importance of allies in these efforts. And it's an important point, because for as much progress as we've made as a nation, the public sector and the private sector working together, our position is only that much more stronger on the world stage if we're pulling our allies in the same direction. In fact, it's something that the Commission focused on and prioritized as well. We've already sent delegations from the United States to visit partners, including Sweden and the UK. And you're going to hear from their ambassadors here in the next panel. But I also want to acknowledge that we are in a strange moment in history for this U.S. leadership on the world stage. In just the last 2.5, 3 months, the Trump administration has dramatically pulled back from our international alliances. They've cut ties with programs and partnerships that, in many cases, have been extremely successful in keeping America safe. We all know that no man is an island, no country is an island. And so when we pull back from our commitments on the world stage, it's not only wrong and a disservice to our allies, it creates a vacuum that adversaries are more than happy to fill. That's true for our security, it's true for our economy, and it's true for biotechnology. And so we hope that with the release of this report, that we can highlight just how dangerous it is for us to pull back now. Instead of moving further away from our allies and partners around the globe, we need to be working more closely and leveraging our collective expertise. We should be working with the State Department to not only fund international research and secure supply chains, but also to use them to promote American industry abroad. We can and should be forming reciprocal biological data sharing agreements, because together the U.S. can learn more from other leading researchers around the world. And at the same time, we'll be building our influence so that other nations rely on us for leadership and our homegrown hubs for leadership as opposed to those of our adversaries. And lastly, we're urging Congress to jump at this opportunity, in my opinion, a responsibility to write the rules of the road for biotech. Because if we don't, somebody else will, and they will not have the interest of the United States first and foremost in their mind. And so we need to do it with urgency, because every day that we don't, China is investing in a way that will put them more and more in the driver's seat, and we simply can't afford that. So going back to the engineering analogy, we certainly have a significant challenge before us. There's no denying that. But I know it also presents a tremendous opportunity. And in this room, we have the will that we're going to need to build on in Congress, in labs across the country, and beyond, to make sure that we seize this opportunity to not just get in the driver's seat, but stay in our leadership position. So thank you all for your participation here today, and best of luck with the rest of the summit.